I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
Hello and welcome to the 7th episode of the Root Zone podcast. My name is Chris Stout. I am your host for this thing. We're excited. A couple things to get a little cleanup. We do have a sponsor now. Pretty excited about it. So we can get this thing really going. We're going to be recording multiple episodes in a row and get some really good content out over the next couple weeks. We did take off a little bit for Christmas and New Year's, but we are back when this episode airs. We should be airing this right around mid-February, around the 13th, 12th, something like that. So from there, we'll be doing these two every 2 weeks. So who's ever listening, I talked to a couple different people down at the Real Green Workwave conference that were listening. So we're pretty excited about it. But leads me to our 7th guest today. We have Joe. Actually, Joe, can you pronounce your last name for me so I don't
Moskal. Moskal. M-O-S-K-A-L.
Moskal. So Joe Moskal is the owner of Royersford Fence Company, a local fence company to us. As everyone's listening to this podcast, we are heavily influenced by the community. We really like to stay in the community. We like to support everybody in the community. And when I think of people supporting people in the community, I instantly think of Royersford Fence Company. Your passion for the community is cool. I see it through your social media page. I think this is actually the first time I've ever met Joe face to face.
Same here.
So it's but like with your social media page, I feel like I know you. That's the first thing I said to you. I feel like I know you already. I feel like we have a lot of like mutual people we know, like Mayor Jenna. Unfortunately, he's not around anymore, but you know, Mayor Jenna, Chris Lurch from Hello 422.
Absolutely.
Like we know all these people, and so it was a good fit for this podcast because one, you're heavily involved in the community, and I think it's paying off well for you. I think you're one of those companies around here that like I feel like you're everywhere all the time. I see your trucks. I see your postings. I see you sponsoring things. Like you're just everywhere at all times. Is that what is that
nacho crawls and whatever Lurch comes up with.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Well, anyway, I got Joe here. Joe's gonna real quick, Joe, a little bit about yourself, how you got started in the fence industry, and also you're a teacher, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh man. All right.
Yes.
So we got a lot to get into.
Yeah. So I've been teaching for 20 years. 4th grade. I'm currently teaching 4th grade, but I've taught 4th grade, 3rd grade, 1st grade, of course, substituted to get in. A little emotional support. That was exciting. But yeah, I'm about 20 years into that. That's my first full-time job. Okay. And in terms of the fence company, that just makes it 7 days a week, possibly 8. Yeah. And you know, it's a good story. And some people are like, well, how does that happen? I don't know how you got started with lawn care, fertilizing, and all the things you guys do, but I'd like to call it an accident, or it's just, and I think as I move forward and we move forward in our business, that they're just opportunities that come along. And fencing started when I was helping my brother-in-law. He said, I'm going to build a fence. I rented everything from shout out to AD Moyer. Those guys still support us really well. But he's like, I got everything. I rented a dingo. And he was in Douglasville, and he said, can you help me out? So my father-in-law and I went over there, and we're like, oh, yeah, we're going to knock this out. We'll drill the holes. Just a basic post and rail. And little did I know how terrible it was. It was 2 days of something that would now take us about half a day.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what you're doing and you're not used to getting into the ground, setting posts and moving on, long story short, I walked out of there, and I asked my current business partner and my best friend, Brian Carpinez, I said, do you think this is something we can do? Because he works currently at GSK full time.
Okay.
So we're both very busy during the day. But he said, yeah. So it was something where I was like, when Facebook was first starting coming out, where I said, okay, we'll put it out there. We can build fences. And before you know it, you know, we had our hands all over the place. And then before you know it, it was, hey, we need a bank account, we need trucks, we need somewhere to put the material, just as you have found a home for all your stuff here. So just really spiraled from, hey, can we do this, to yes, to building those relationships and going from family and friends as probably you started, to we're going to start doing this for people we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we can do this fence thing.
If we can do this.
If we could do this. No, listen, I've tried to do fence. Well, I think I did it once without professionals. And we just did, my buddy had a twin little skinny little rectangular yard, and we maybe had to do 3 sections, whatever you would call it.
Yeah.
And boy, were those sections, just so off. And we were digging with, we didn't have the right equipment, and we went out and rented the right equipment, and then that went a lot faster. But I think we really did 7 holes, and it took us 2 days. So we had no idea what we were doing.
It's not for everybody.
No, but so that's why that's like, okay, let's start digging holes as a side gig. Like that's got to be.
Yeah.
What was the like?
Well,
it was one of those things. Like it was in demand.
It started small. I mean, like split rail stuff, and people I knew were like, "Hey, I have faith in you. Let's get it done. What's your company name?" I mean, there wasn't even a name. It was just something that we could do, and who do I write the check to? Joe Moskal. I mean, And then we realized that it's something we can do well, and then something that's also lucrative.
Yeah.
Because you're doing something that most people can't do. I think we all know what it looks like when someone tries to build their own fence. And I think we all know what it looks like when someone tries to fertilize and or weed treat their own yard.
Yeah.
They think they have everything, and it's all green. I don't see any dandelions, but there's probably a ton of underlying issues as you have on this poster right here.
Yeah, absolutely. So after you jumped into it, you're getting some new customers, people you didn't know.
Absolutely.
You started your branding, you started the company name, you put it on, you said you put it on Facebook. How long did it take you to get to Royersford Fence Company, from that really beginning?
Not long. I'd probably say maybe about 2 years, because we were in Audubon, Pennsylvania. Starting that, I borrowed my father-in-law's truck. I'd go on a Friday night because we're teaching and working all week. I'd borrow my father-in-law's truck. We would get, I think it was called like the Beaver or something like that, and it was a towable dingo.
Okay.
So you'd pull this thing on wheels, because we just weren't using like a 2-man auger, like a towable, and you dip this thing into the ground. So I didn't even have a truck. So I'd borrow my father-in-law's truck, rent the equipment from Home Depot, buy fence supply from a local fence company, and go from there. I mean, it's laughable at this point, but it was the hustle and that vision of, you remember what that felt like. It's like getting a really big job or something that means something.
There's a key moment where, like, when I first started Stout Lawn Care, like, people have heard a little bit of my story, but, I was working for a larger company, decided to leave them at 30, 38 years old, 37, however old I was. I got 2 kids, one kid, one on the way.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, Michelle, to my wife, I was like, I'm just going to start my own company. I'm going to quit this amazing job where I'm making a great salary and it's going places. I'm just going to do my own thing. So, but to your point, like when I first started, I think I had maybe, I don't know, I'd say 20 customers, friends, families that were right away on board before I had a website, before I had anything. But I think I launched my website and I launched my Facebook page within like days of each other. Mm-hmm. And the guy that did my website, he's like, listen, your Facebook page is blowing up. Yeah. And I was like, well, is that good? Like, what,
it's
like
the hat.
how good? It's the big hat.
I've seen the big hat. I'm like, how the hell do I get one of those?
Yeah. Wait 6 months. They're selling to the NBA and the NFL right now. Noggin Boss, #Noggin Boss. If you guys want to sponsor this podcast, that'd be great. I put you guys everywhere.
That's awesome.
So, but then after we launched those 2 things, I got some like you said, some calls from people. I'm like, oh man, they're like, yeah, I'll send you a check tomorrow. And then I was like, oh wow, all right, cool. Well, I just paid for whatever I just paid.
Now,
for.
what kinds of treatments, like just generically, so everybody understands?
So we do lawn applications. So a 6-step program. We like to call ourselves a weed and feed organization. So you think of Lawn Doctor, True Green, all those big, large companies that come and spray your lawn. We do that
with horrible customer service.
With the opposite.
Been there, done that. I'd rather watch my weeds grow.
Exactly. And they hassle you, and we really, really focus on the community aspect and like being who we are. Like we're having a beer right now. Like I'm not scared to say that we're having a beer right now. I'm not scared to say that I have beers in my fridge for my guys when they get back at the end of the day.
Soul Joel did not give me a beer.
He didn't give you a beer?
He did not give me a beer.
Man,
Afterwards, he did give me a Jack and Coke. But I did do a good job.
So like, so it was really cool. And I started getting these checks in and then I was like, wow, I can
do this.
I can pay myself $400 this week. I was like, yes.
Everybody should own their own business.
Everyone should do this. This is amazing. And then, the growth pattern for me was like, I got through that first year and I survived, and that was the first mode. Like I made
What year was that?
That was 19,
right?
So that was right after COVID.
I looked you up.
Yeah.
I got you.
a little bit of research.
I did my history.
And that was and then it snowballed from there. And with my experience in the industry, I was able to, continue to market correctly. And one of those things that I successfully did was, like I said, get on Facebook, get on Instagram, get on those things. And when I look at Royersford Fence Company, I'm like, man, you are literally, that's your market. That is your marketing, really. I mean, your word of mouth and your Facebook. I mean,
my wife tells me I'm on my phone all the time. I said, but I'm making money with my phone. We have all these places to go eat now.
That's right.
And,
that's right.
Everybody's like, well, like in terms of referrals and just kind of going down that line of I'm not getting 7,000 estimates.
Yeah.
I live in the woods. If I decide that I do not want to look at my weeds maybe in the front yard, I know my guy.
Yeah.
If I have a landscaper, I have my guy. Yep. There's no, I'm getting 7,000 estimates and then we're going to go with the cheapest.
Yeah.
And that's, that whole networking piece is where are you getting your top couple cheesesteaks from? Where are you getting this from? You have your preferences as well, but those are relationships that are built and it's reciprocal.
Yes.
It's not, I just jump on and start sharing random stuff. You actually go to those places. You actually share their stuff. As we've done.
Yes.
And this is something that when it first came out, and we really can talk about when Facebook first came out because everybody's like, oh, it's going to go away. Everybody's going to go to Instagram and Snapchat. I get it. But for our industry and people 30, 40, 45, 50 and on, this is where they're saying, hey, need a lawn guy, need a fence guy. Where do I get the best cheesesteak or pizza?
Yeah.
What have you? I just think it's all relative. And Chris and I, and I call that knowing somebody. I mean, it was like, oh, it's called fake book or, they're not your real friends. I said they may not be. But if they're at a family party and someone says, I need a fence, somebody's going to say, you got to give Joe Moskal a call at Royersford Fence. If not, I mean.
You talk about quality leads. We talk about Google and the analytics and what people are spending for direct mail and things like that. It's really refreshing to see that side where you're growing this organically, but like just as fast as the next guy is spending X amount of dollars on Google ads and putting there's a lot of, especially now in our industry, the green industry, a lot of private equity coming in and just gobbling up everybody. And there's a race to the top.
Sorry, you mean like bigger?
Yeah. So like right now in the green industry,
who's trying to buy you?
These days they email me almost every day. Private equity.
I get nothing. Nobody wants to do fencing.
Nobody wants to do fencing. It's not reoccurring.
No, and I don't even know money to make me go away because then I drive my wife nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
What am I going to do with my time?
So we're like in a unique situation where there's a lot of these smaller local companies that could, you gobble up a company here, 40 customers here, 100 customers, 300 customers there. You show that revenue to a private equity. It's in your favor, but that was never my goal when it came to Stout Lawn Care. It was more like grow organically, grow slow. I take a lot of vacations. I love to spend time with my family. Like it was never about the grind. I feel like kind of you say that, but I feel like you have a very good balance with what you do. No, maybe not. Just tell me the truth. That's what we're here for. I mean,
I definitely want to touch on.
How like
my buddy
Summers too, right?
John Rook, owns Repairs by Rook, and he said my blood just boils. Everybody tells me I'm growing too fast. I said, yeah, well they didn't tell Bill Gates or whoever that. I said there's a time where you ask for advice and you listen for advice, and then there's times where you just have to trust your gut, because in the end you're going to be left feeding your family and living with the decisions that you made. And going back, I listened to a lot in terms of, I guess people call it personal development. I listened to a lot of, quote, gurus or whoever. I don't have business consultants. I just have people who talk about life, what it's all about, what's important. I kind of listen to everything. I'm the guy who watches CNN and Fox in the same night.
Yep.
And I'll make my own conclusions and still be mad that somebody's taking my money.
Yeah.
Gary V. Vanderchuck, if you've ever listened to him, Gary V.
Yeah, can't not. Like he's
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, and sometimes you're like, dude, I gotta get on and put on my boots. I gotta go to school. I got estimates in the dark with a freaking headlamp. Like I don't care if you hope I have a kind day.
Yeah.
But every time I see myself being completely perfect self-expression, perfect, just feeling it. When you're in the groove, it might be on one of your machines. But
you wake up that morning and you're just moving that day.
Yeah,
everything feels smooth.
And like I don't have a choice, and I'm sure you don't either, because it doesn't matter how I feel.
No.
I have to be this for people. So I mean, balance, and goodness, getting into what it's like to own your own business. Everybody should try it, but the work-life balance is an illusion, I think, because there really is no balance. Like in my opinion.
No. I get where you're going with it.
You're like, I mean, can I say that I'm going to do this 50% of the time, and then I'm going to do fence, and then I got to stop what I'm doing, and then I've missed baseball games. I've missed football games.
You're absolutely correct, because we have busy times. We have spring and fall.
And I have 5 kids.
We are slammed. Yeah,
I have 5 kids, and I mean, that balance is kind of an illusion. But going back to what I was saying, I'm sorry to be all over the place. It happens. They call it the Joe Moskal decoder ring.
That's all right.
Is that I enjoy the process. Yeah. Still to this day, I love when somebody clicks accept, and it's not about the money.
Yeah.
It is, but it's not. And he's always said, if you just enjoy the process, I mean, would I want to be sitting on a beach in Florida? Absolutely. But I enjoy going and meeting with people, even if it doesn't come to anything.
But I'm sure, because when I look, it's funny you say it like that, because when I look at my business, there's certain things that I enjoy. And I guess, back in the, when I was taking the old company, I was taking personality tests, what's top left, top right box, what do you like doing?
The company gave you that.
Well, we would do all kinds of tests and to try to figure out,
Let's see who's going to be on whose crew,
yeah,
right?
Are you a blue dot, or we did all these tests and all these
Oh my goodness.
It was interesting. It made you think about things, but it was, what do I really like to do? So what I like to do.
Yeah. What do you do for fun?
I like to come to work and manage my guys and be I thrive. I'm OCD at heart, so I thrive on efficiency. So
Absolutely.
I love being efficient. Even in my house, how I do the laundry, my wife hates it. There's things that I like, but I love being efficient.
Brandy's texting me right now. I sent her the picture of your shop. I can't tell her that you do laundry and run a business.
Yeah.
There's no way. Not that she's home to do all those things, but
yeah. And so I thrive on those aspects of the business, but
Absolutely.
I got away from sales. I don't really like to do sales. I don't mind talking grass, but the actual me being sitting at a desk, answering a phone, talking grass, hanging up the phone, and that's monotonous for me, and it gets boring for me. So and that was my biggest thing. And you said you have a business partner. Have you guys separated your roles as business partners, or do you?
Absolutely, great question. That's why. And sorry to cut you off, but that's exactly. It's just, I mean, this would be ideal. And I'm looking at Chris's shop right now. It's amazing. Just looking around, I'm literally doing a 360 like a tripod. But I'm just thinking what I would do with this in a fence standpoint. But to that point, and I sent a picture to Brian Carpinez, it's my best friend, my business partner, since, second, third grade.
Yeah.
We have this thing set up. And as I've explained in other, interviews and things, I often get in my own way, but we do have separate roles.
Okay.
Brian and his wife, they handle the ordering of the material. They order the PA1 call before you dig. handle everything on that aspect. I'm answering emails. I'm doing all the social media. We don't have anybody. That's all me.
Yep.
Brandy, my wife, is oftentimes found out doing estimates herself. She's been getting a lot. I know she's pretty, but she's been getting a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And answering calls, and people say, "Oh, I love Brandy." So it's like a whole microcosm, I guess, of like owners.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Well, how does that work?" And I said, "Well, oftentimes I get in the way, and I'm told not to micromanage people because I don't need any sleep, and I see stuff, and
that's that's the essence of the Root Zone podcast. Is like, I'm heavily involved in the green industry, but I immediately think to how that correlates to like what we do, and it's like what my business partner does is handle the back. He handles all the phone calls and sales and things like that, and it's like it's funny that you say about your owners. I feel like we do have 4 owners. Even, we have the Silver Fox, Eric. Mm-hmm. We went to this convention and people were, "Oh, is Eric the owner? Is he one of the owners?" Because we see him so much on social media.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's kind of like our mantra is like, we have our
roles. I was wondering about I've sold the Silver Fox, the black hat, and
he's and you say, it's funny, known your business partner for as long as you have. I've known Steve since we were in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And he was in the corporate world and he wanted to get out, and he was sick and tired of it. And he joined me 2.5 years ago, and it's been like ebony and ivory. I mean, it's perfect. It's a yin yang.
And it's been, nearly almost 20 years of just figuring that out, because you're going to get into, and that's the ugly part about business is it's not always, there's problems, and then there's another thing I've listened to, and I keep telling myself that there's problems and then there's riddles. There's problems, and then you're like, that's a really big problem.
Yeah.
Like my best guy, my head foreman, Luis, played soccer, tore his ACL, MCL. That's a problem. I don't have an answer for that. Like my best guy can, speak, relate 2 languages, to the guys, to the customers, clients, would do everything that Brian and myself and my team would want him to do. And I had no answer other than everybody else has to pick up the slack. And then there's sometimes, well, my gate's not closing right. No problem. I told you this might happen. Call us back. We'll adjust it. A lot of things happen. They're like, I don't know what you want us to do. I'm like, gotta wait. And it just comes with time.
Yeah. Where
you kind of slow down, and you're probably at the point where, some things you're like, I've never seen that. Or a customer's never complained to that.
Well, what's happening with me is as we grow as
like
business,
your complaints.
Well,
there's only so many you can have.
Well, complaints.
The dandelions are back.
Complaints are relative. And over my years of doing customer service, mainly in my other company, I was a technician and service and operations, all that. Yeah. But you have to look at it as a whole and holistically. Like right now we have 750 customers. I think we did a total of 38 service calls last year. So you think about that. That's 38. We did 750 customers times 6 visits. So we did over 4,000 visits last year, and we have 38 that we have to go back for.
Right, it's just not one time.
It's really
if they call me back, it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something's happening.
When they say, how long will this last 15 to 20 years? I'm like, wow, 15 to 20 years. I don't know how old I'm going to be right now, but yeah.
But what I struggle, what we're learning is, and this is probably a good question for you, is the financial side, right? As you grow as a business, the finances change. You're making money. How do we pay ourselves as partners? How do we? I need to make a living. You need to make a living. We want to both make.
Pay yourself without paying yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to do in today's world. It's tough to do it. Yeah, this golf cart was we're sitting
and we're looking at Chris's rimmed out golf cart over here.
So that was straight from Japan or Asia somewhere. This was I'm starting my own business and I'm going to buy something cool for once in my life.
Yeah.
And now it's sitting here like a piece of junk.
It's December 13th.
It doesn't run. It barely moves. I've probably driven it a total of 50 times and I've had it for 4 years. So we're going to try to get this thing running and get it out of here. But,
how about that?
But that was that was before I had a business partner. Now those financial decisions are a little bit different.
So you started this just by yourself?
When I started, my business partner now had a small equity stake.
Like go back to borrowing my father-in-law's truck.
So I begged and plead every bank in the tri-state area to
Yeah.
give me a loan, a personal loan, because I
Wow.
wanted to do it personally for X amount. I'll tell everybody $25,000, and then Steve, my business partner, invested the rest, and he got some equity in it. 2 years down the line, he left his position at a local financial firm and said, "I want to come aboard." I said, "I can't pay you anything close to what you were making, but I'd love to have you aboard. So why don't I give you more equity?" And so that's how that went down. And since then, like I said, it's been amazing. But how did your business structure work? Were you 50-50 partners from the beginning, or
Yeah.
That's
and those
50
listening are going to crack up and they're going to be like, 50-50? What? That'll never work.
I thought it was 41 or 49-51. I thought that's what
no.
you had to do.
Brian's the boss. No, we're 50-50. No, Chris Pisano got us together. I remember Brian riding his motorcycle over, and I don't know what crappy car I had at that time, but we started our LLC with Bond and Pisano, and there's like 50-50s never work. And we both sat there and looked at each other and we're like, come on. Second grade, high school football, everything. We're like, if this doesn't work, whatever. Here's the $1,200. We're going to try it, but we have to be a legal somebody because they can't keep writing checks to Joe Moskal and Brian Carpenter.
No, that's not good.
And then I got back, and I think it was during the summer. I went home back to Royersford, and then Brian went to his job at GSK.
Yeah.
That was, but it's 50-50. Our wives are very important in the company and do a lot.
Yeah.
So, they spend all the money, but 50-50, geez, almost 20 years now, it's worked. And not to say there's no uglies, there's no hiccups, it's mostly just me getting in the way.
Yeah. I feel that way sometimes too. Absolutely, Steve. Getting back to the marketing, do you do anything else? Do you do any kind of mailers?
No mailers.
No mailers. Do you spend any money?
Google. I panicked. I panicked a little bit post-COVID, like right when kids were going back to school and all that stuff. And it was like a really, really, really big slowdown. And I was like, okay, well, if they're going to give me $500 of Google ads, I might as well take it. And then I'm essentially going to, you've seen that thing. Here's the $500 mailer.
Yep.
And then, we'll give you a $500 credit. So it was going to cost me $500 for $1,000. I basically just got a whole bunch of people who, I don't know, didn't want a fence. I don't really know whatever came from it.
Yeah.
But Facebook, Instagram, lettering your trucks. But I don't do any mailers. I don't even know how that works. And just, again, I'm counting all those people at a party, at a dinner, in a family, the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
To be like, yo, fence, it's something you're only going to need every 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. But it's funny you say that, because like that's how I look at it too, because I look at your Facebook page and it's like a marketing machine for you. Like if you look at living in Royersford, living whatever, this is a national podcast, so living wherever you live.
Yeah.
Someone asked, I'm thinking about getting a white vinyl fence. Boom, Royersford Fence Company. Boom, Royersford Fence Company.
Yeah.
Boom, Royersford Fence Company. And there's 32 comments, and you're 12 of them. And that's you talk about quality leads. That's a slam dunk. All you got to do is show up to the.
It's the new word of mouth, and it's either people can swallow that. As much as Facebook came out. And this is how people are communicating. Like if it wasn't for Facebook or, whatever people want, because there's a lot of downers about it.
Yeah.
But they'll be the first one going, I need a local carpenter, cheap, reasonable. These are words that don't even come out of my mouth, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So where do you see Royersford Fence? Like, are you happy where you're at? Like your business level? Do you want to hire do you want to
everybody who knows me knows that's no. I always want more. I want what you have. I want one of these shops.
Yeah, but you got to hire a Joe Jr. then, right?
Well, I do have a Joe Jr., 4 girls and a boy. But I think he likes Fortnite and Madden. I did beat him last night.
How old is he?
For the first time. 10? I think he's 10. Sorry.
So when can he get his working papers? 14? Get him out there.
We might have him pushing a pushing an aerator or something like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I'm gonna need it as well.
The kids have absolutely no interest. It's like you listen to, I think I'm pretty cool, but when you
Yeah.
go home,
No.
man, you're grounded. Like you hear Michael Jordan, Kelsey go home, and it's like you're just dad.
Mhm.
Nobody cares.
No.
And I'm like, I'm going to a podcast tonight with Chris Stout, Stout Lawn Care.
Yeah.
And they're like, another one, Daddy? I'm like,
yeah.
this is the second one. And yes, I'm cooler than you.
Yeah.
I always tell them I have more followers on Instagram and Facebook separately, but more than all of you together.
There you go.
No TikTok needed.
Yeah, you're one of these days you'll go viral for something you do. Somebody will run
Hopefully it's something good.
yeah. A little bit of a local connection. My mother-in-law lives on Oak Street, so I believe she was right near your old house, correct?
Yeah. We recently moved, 3 years now, coming up in February, from 317 North Fifth Avenue. The tomatoes, the fence was out there. I was on council there, and then recently moved to Fawn Lane. You check it out on Google if you just Google Royersford Fence Company. We're now in North Coventry Township.
Oh, you're near me. Maybe we're pretty close. I'm on Culp Road, Copeland Schoolhouse.
Oh, I don't know. Brandy knows I'm terrible with road names.
Doesn't matter.
That's why she writes it out and does the whole navigation for me. But yeah, Cedarville, Countryville Road. I don't know. Before you take a left at Piccolo Mondo.
Okay. Yep.
What's up, Angelo and Clay? We'll make you listen to it.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna put this out. So the idea of the whole idea of the podcast was to try to just talk to people of how you've grown your business, and it's you. Like I said, I think you have a very unique perspective on it, because when I look at everyone in our industry, we're talking, people want us to spend, 10, 12% of our marketing budget on Google, things like that. And I'm like, well, I just haven't done it. And I don't know if I want to do it. Like, I want to grow this company. I want to make it successful, but I don't want to. I see more quality leads coming from all the other stuff we do. And to talk to somebody down in New Orleans, he backed me up the other day, and he said, "Man, I switched my whole budget 7 years ago, all from Google right to Facebook." So he does all kind of advertising.
Yeah.
Do you do paid advertising through Facebook?
Very little. I've seen very little return. I get more if Chris Stout shares my stuff.
Yeah.
I get more if Gazzo Steaks shares my stuff. I get more and these are beacons in the community, because I don't want to build a fence in Philadelphia. No offense to anybody.
No.
But like, we're a registered contractor in the state of Pennsylvania. People are like, oh, well, if you come down to New Jersey, you expand out here.
Nah.
I mean, my organic leads, and when you're dealing with, and it took so much, man. It took so much to go to 4,000 followers for a fence page.
Yeah. Yeah. You're smoking it all.
And when you're like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? Man, I'm so unsure. I don't know what to do, but I know I have to do something.
Yeah.
Like last night, the guys just recently did a dumpster enclosure for trash cans. I don't know if you saw it.
Didn't see that one.
And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, trash cans, Oscar the Grouch, little number up here. I'm like, it's a post.
Yeah.
And you're hitting like a niche level of like whatever, but then Anna Marie's sharing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these are beacons who come for food. But maybe it's like a little street.
So we talk about the 7. You need to be touched 7 times to like remember that place. But when it comes, or remember whatever. But when it comes to Facebook, I was telling last couple of podcasts ago, we were talking to Chris Lurch. Exactly. You're being normal, and you're being consistent. That's the best part.
That's weird. And he was actually, I'm sorry, I'm showing him the picture of let's hide those trash cans. And it's just a little dumpster enclosure where, like, no offense, your kids don't put them the right way. Nobody wants to see it. And it's just, they're like animated. The trash cans opening up to like sunny days, and it's just like, okay, if I'm going to sit here, I don't watch Netflix.
Yeah.
I watch this.
Yeah.
I don't do stocks. I watch this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe people give me too much credit, and I think they do, but like nothing outperforms hustle.
Yeah.
I eat, breathe, and sleep advancing, getting ahead, making my family happy, give them what they want and more.
Yeah.
And then the biggest thing, supporting those around you. Because you can talk. Well, I've never seen you in Anna Marie's.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, hey, thanks, but you've never liked or shared anything from Stout Lawn Care.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You know?
that's the most powerful thing about the whole sharing and thing, you know, on Facebook is when Anna Marie shares your posts, she's also sharing it to her followers, and then her followers, and then their followers. It's just a great snowball effect. A little bit about teaching. How long? You said 20 years. Is there like I'm going to stop teaching? Do you have the pension, all that? Like,
oh yeah.
So how much longer do you have? Like till
I don't know. It's just a bet that I have every going back in. You know, friends of mine are like, "You're not going back. You're not going back." The insurance is great.
Absolutely.
I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love what I do. More importantly, I think I still make a difference. And unfortunately, in our industry or any type of service, food, construction, 7 times out of 10, I would say that your workers, your guys, your girls are not treated the way that they should be.
Yeah.
Not that that's a reason why I'm staying there. It's just like a parallel that I see because I get dressed up, I go to work, but I take those same shoes off. I put on this hoodie, I cover up the polo shirt, and I see the difference that I'm treated.
Yeah.
I see the way that I've been treated in people's backyards. Oh, you missed a piece of dirt over there.
Yeah.
We've all been treated like shit before.
Yeah.
There is no end game. Not to be trendy. I don't even know what that is, but I heard people say it.
Yeah.
There is no end game. There is no time when I'm done. To feel that I don't make a difference, because I'm definitely not there for the money. The insurance is good, but I'm not teaching for the money. I love the people I work with. I love the children. I teach in Norristown, have been, never will teach anywhere else. And it's just something where I found awesome people that work for us, with us. They don't need me there.
Yeah.
I heard that's called scaling.
Yeah.
I don't have a business coach, but I heard that's called scaling.
It's exactly what scaling is when you're not needed.
You know, I mean, I don't own properties and I don't make money in my sleep because that's apparently the ultimate goal, but
Absolutely.
we'll leave that up to a Neil Dom.
Me and Steve are trying to figure out that whole aspect of it, but we like to just hone in what we do well, and that's just answer the phone and do a good job on your lawn and be honest and be normal. And that's what I get a lot from you, Joe, is, you know, I look at all of your competition around the area.
Oh, there's plenty of that.
There's a lot. It's just, you know, there's another lawn. You can hit a lawn care company with a stone. Same thing with a fence company. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
But you doing it that little bit different, that community aspect, just really trying to just be present in your business and people know you. Like that's important to me. And I think that even the bigger companies, like we won't name any national companies, but there's other companies out there that are very, like, they're very personable. They have the people to do it. They just don't showcase the people. And I guess, as you know, I'm very illiterate to this, so maybe, you know, I could be talking out my ass in 3 years. We're a $3 million, $5 million company or whatever we may be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't have time to deal with those. But in all honesty, that's not my goal. I don't want to be that. I want to provide an amazing life for my kids and my wife.
Yeah.
And go on plenty of vacations and enjoy myself. You know, that's
He said vacation.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
You have to be able to leave and make sure that everything runs smoothly. That's when you know you have a good business.
I think
because I can leave and they say, dude, put your Chromebook away. I went down to South Carolina. I'm up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And Brittany's like, oh, my wife, because she handles the phones. I forward all the leads to her, all the calls. And and we're looking at like our family. I don't mean it in any way, but she's like, yeah, we're going to work today. I'm like, we can call a few people back. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, in the summer, it's just the wrong time to go away. And
yeah,
everybody waits. And I mean, what do? You go on vacation in the winter?
Yeah. We try to go.
Where the heck are you going to go? I wait till spring.
The greatest part about my business is the fertilizer business is I dictate my schedule. The customers don't. So if we wanted to shut down the business for a week and take everybody off, we could do it because we could bust our hump for 2 weeks prior and 2 weeks after, right? So that's a really cool advantage that we have, is that we really do make up our own schedule. So, you know, the goal for me and Steve has always been like just build this like really solid, easy to run.
750, you said?
700
Reoccurring times 4. 4?
Well, it's we do 6 visits a year. Yeah. So
Wow.
you know, it can be good, but there's a lot of, as you're looking at this shop, there's a lot of equipment in here too. You know, it's
Yeah.
not cheap to keep this equipment maintained. And it's not cheap to buy trucks, especially in this it's not
Mhm.
not fun to buy trucks at all. But yeah, Joe, I got a question for you. What's been your like biggest like failure? What did you lose out on? Is it just
goodness
is it
gracious?
just, like, is it just a job or one job, or was it maybe an
Oh,
employee,
no,
or was it
no.
a bad decision?
That's a good one. Nobody's ever asked me that before.
I
But
wanna know
I
that-
I
wanna
told
know
my
what-
kids I've failed thousands of times. You know, everybody wants to know what's your ROI. I'm like, that's cute, but if I get one job that's worth 20 grand and I missed three grand jobs, I guess just losing. I'm just not good at losing. And if I don't get it, the worst thing is to drive by it and knew that I designed it that way. So I guess not winning is my biggest failure.
Do you find that failure is through financial reasons most of the time?
They will say, let's just take for a $10,000 estimate. Well, you're $800 more.
Yeah,
And
that's a tough pill to
people
swallow.
do not care. It's about money.
Yeah.
When we say we're the best, I think everybody's building a quality fence around here. Moskal fence, Paramount fence. I think everybody's building a good fence, but the customer service, the follow through before, during, and after, because I can give you a little warranty and you can read it and give it to your lawyer or whatever happens. But if you don't treat people good before, during, and after, I mean, you're doomed. But I just say not getting jobs
Yeah,
is like, and then
seeing
people I know, but I mean, failures. I mean, it's just,
any bad financial moves, buying a bad truck, buying a bad piece of equipment, or you've done your due diligence.
no, you're just reminding me of how lucky we've been, because I guess I'd rather be lucky, blessed, and good any day. And I've always believed in what people told me was good things.
Happen to
Good
good
things
people?
happen to people that try.
Yeah,
And I just have not stopped trying.
I feel like that's our sales pitch.
Yeah.
Is like we're gonna try. We're gonna try really hard.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you our whole heart.
But then try would be a weak word.
Yeah, but
It's like I was like, well, let's reframe that. In school, we say, let's reframe
okay,
that.
let's reframe that.
Let's reframe that and say, next time I'm going to do what? Don't just say try.
This is
I'm going to add
Listen,
more sodium.
My son's a little emotional. Okay, maybe I'll ask you this. Okay, this is a question. We're gonna go off topic here. My son's a little emotional when he gets,
I have 4 girls. You can't scare me.
yeah, second, third place. He's a wreck. He's a total mess. And if I think I made fun of his hair this morning, and he started crying.
They don't know how to lose.
So my wife, God bless her soul, she started looking up how do you deal with someone that's a little too emotional, and it was like, oh, you got to use like care words, and this is, and I was like, well, you weren't looking for that answer, were you? She's like, no, I was looking for like, how do you toughen his ass up? Like, what level of ass beating can I do to my son to toughen him up? So, what is your, as a third grade teacher, how do I make my son less sensitive?
Oh, boy. Well, I'd say with just anything. I think all even with my students, we'll start with my students, is I just think being there for them. But like, I don't know, you can't talk about anybody's hair,
Yeah,
and I just got my done. What's up, choppers?
looks nice.
Yeah, we're going back. I might need some fertilization up front.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, because I have 4 girls, and you can't say anything, because even if you said, "Hey, your hair looks great," he's already got it all riled up.
Yeah.
So I think the answer is he's coming with, what is everybody gonna? Is it a new hairstyle? Is it
Well, it's
is it the front thing?
yeah? We're trying to grow it out. Like, he wants to get this
This puff.
Yeah, yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and then he wants this line on the side of his head.
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Oh wait,
like,
hold on.
he
I got
finally-
one of those.
yeah,
What's up, Nick? We're rocking this line. We're not gonna
He
lie.
wants that. He likes it.
He said, "I think you're too old for that," but we're gonna.
Well,
Steve
Silver
Carcari has
Silver
it, so we're
Fox
gonna
has
do it.
has a line too.
Yeah,
So.
he's probably got more hair than I do.
And
I just think he's coming. You show up to an estimate, and somebody's like, "I don't know. I wasn't supposed to be here. My wife's supposed to be here." You're like, yeah, okay. I'm 3 weeks out on estimates, and you told me that your wife found me on Google, and now you don't know why I'm here. So your son, I mean, most likely, and we all wake up, put the skeletons away, take a shower, and come. And your son probably is the hair is a big deal.
Yeah,
It's like that. Remember Grease? Hey, don't touch the hair. Don't touch the hair.
No.
We're doing it again, but they just need to go like this with it.
Yeah.
Like Danny Zooks.
Yeah, straight back.
Danny Zooks, put it back.
Oh,
I mean, sensitivity. I don't know.
So what's
a
some
tough
of your
one.
biggest wins then as a business owner? Like you failures, like did you get a huge job and you're like, oh, this is awesome.
Speaking of which, as I'm sitting here getting texts from my business partner, Brian, he just resent an estimate and it's 1,189 feet.
I don't know what that means, but that sounds
That's a
large.
lot of fence. And if I had that much money, I probably would not get a fence.
Is that like the front of like a
and it's my
farm?
neighbor. The properties in North Coventry,
Yeah.
the houses don't need to be big or small, but nobody has anything under 2.
Yeah.
One line is 400 feet. That's a giant backyard. So wins like that, best of Monco. Never thought that would ever happen.
Yeah.
Just those type of accolades. I think biggest wins are like what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I don't sit there and like toot my horn. I don't think you've ever seen me on Facebook being like, this is what I do. This is what I am. This is how much money I have.
There's a couple on Facebook around here that do that.
Yeah.
That are frustrating, but
yeah.
But that whole tooting your own horn and
like people don't know what my house looks like. I have a car. I don't know how many times I posted that.
Yeah.
Like you just don't do that. I'm just grateful that, things like this, like somebody thought it interesting to have me come talk to them about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
those are the cool wins. I was walking out of my son's flag football practice today, and I held the door for somebody, and she goes, "Oh, hey, Chris." I'm like, "Oh, hey." She goes, "I'm Lauren Duκετ." What I forget her last name, but I was like,
yeah.
I was like, "Oh, Lauren." Like I haven't seen her. I think she was like literally under 100 customer number. Like she might have been like my 75th customer.
Right.
And I did her lawn for the first 2 years, but I haven't seen her in 2.5, 3 years. And she was like, "Oh, how you doing?" And I walked away. We were, kind of shuffling out of the complex. And then I was like, "Oh, that was cool."
It's just crazy.
That was cool. Like, not that I'm like a celebrity or like, it's not about being recognized. It was just a cool feeling like, oh, and then I like her dad is actually a customer, and her dad goes to school with my daughter at St. Aloysius.
Right.
So it's just like this little like that those type of things are really, really neat.
You got two crazy things. You asked me what the biggest thing was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said, what was it? Connections or something?
Networking, connections.
Networking. What was the best thing? What was the worst thing? And then St. Al's. I grew up and then moved to Audubon, but I went to St. Al's.
You went to St. Al's?
I went to St. Al's. I lived in Lower Pottsgrove. That was before I met my business partner. It was kindergarten or first grade.
Okay.
And then I still remember being in that church.
Oh, it's not the church anymore.
And there's a downstairs one.
They moved it. St. Al's is an awesome school. Awesome school. We love our kids go there, but Jack goes to.
Maybe say like, what's the best thing? I'm just sitting here going like, wow, this is, yeah.
Hello, this is Brian and Stephanie, owners of Tick and Skeeter Deleter. Are you providing a tick and mosquito control service?
We formulated a product to target today's environmentally conscious market.
Tick and Skeeter Deleter is your ultimate 25B exempt pesticide.
This product controls on contact while acting as a repellent.
With these all-natural essential oils, you will leave behind an aroma even the neighbors will enjoy.
Elevate your business with Tick and Skeeter Deleter.
Use discount code ROOTZONE for a 5% discount on product at yardcomfort.com. Thank you for listening to the Root Zone podcast.
So we're back with Joe. I was inquiring about his estimates and how he does his estimates because He said he's a pen and paper guy, which is wild to me.
And a note taker,
Listen, I get.
list maker.
I like we were talking about. I have this little tablet thing called a Remarkable. It's kind of like a really cool Etch-a-Sketch. But you were saying you do everything on pen and paper, and that's in our industry that would be absolutely insane to do because we have it's just recurring and billing and all that would be insane. But why have you not gone to some sort of like CRM, customer management program? You just run everything out of Excel / QuickBooks, like kind of do it that way. Like
No,
is there
from a drawing standpoint,
is there a fence program, a fence
Yeah,
estimate
so-
program? I'm sure in your industry they have something, right?
yeah. So Chris Stout, no, I mean I'm sure they do, but I'd have to take off of school and go to these fence techs for a week down in Georgia or whatever. But basically we have, if you get an estimate, you're not getting pen and paper. For me, I get a blank piece of paper. There's a prescribed where the name's on it and address, all your information. But there's so many things where I have to draw and like note take really quick and remember on the spot.
Well,
scratch out.
Wait. I'm gonna call you on something. Then.
Yeah.
You're an efficiency guy. You fist pounded me when I said efficiency.
Yeah.
You don't think that implementing some sort of
Well, that'd be great.
tablet system?
I found it. I just found it. I mean, like some guys are drawing
That's
on like the grid paper, and then they go and like put it on, and then I got some weird little dog and something that looks like somebody from Atari drew it.
Yeah.
So for me, that's just the drawing aspect. I scan them over to Brian, my partner in the company.
Okay.
And then you get an official emailed estimate with all of your things, with your numbers, click accept, how you can pay.
Got you.
But just from...
But a tech, you say you and your wife are doing majority of the estimates. So on a given week,
physically, yeah. And he processes them.
How many estimates are you giving on a physical week? Like
right now we're about 3 a day.
3 a day.
3 a
Jesus.
day. 3 a day. And then during the summer, and again, when we go back from I get in my own way, I'll do 7. But then I can draw whatever. And then Brian's like, well, these 6 people out of the 7 wanted 5 different options. And in fencing, you could end up with 12 different estimates, 4 styles, 3 different heights.
Yeah.
I don't know if my dog can get over that. And I walk out with number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And that's where like a paper, this is just the way we communicate.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, what's this mean early on?
Yeah.
And like, I can't read this. Now it's like,
You have a system. Yeah.
like I can tell who did that drawing. Like it's either me or Brandy, but just from like the caveman sketching standpoint. And then I go home. If I have to redraw something, I'll do that. But 9 times out of 10, we hand the guys a drawing.
Yeah.
And this is what you're to do.
So we do all our estimates virtually now. We do them with mapping software, and we do square footages. Do you?
Yeah, we have My Salesman software would be the biggest thing.
Can you do
I can do it rough.
Accurate?
No, not accurate. Those software things in fencing, because I guess you guys are doing square feet.
Correct.
Like, hey, I'm going to be somewhere.
Yeah,
and there's a plus minus.
Our margin of error is a couple thousand, 1,000 square feet. So it's not a big deal.
So with us, if I'm short a panel of fencing, and you have black vinyl, I just can't go get that.
Yeah.
I don't have that laying around at a shop.
Speaking of which, that black vinyl that's
sick.
It looks so nice.
Someday I'll be able to afford it. I have slipboard, but yeah. So
is that so okay?
We've also gotten a ton of jobs where some of these tech companies out here, like, well, they wouldn't even come out. They had me, my fence salesman has you type in your address. You would just like when you hit right click on Google to measure, would have you kind of do that, and you'd click your style, and then you would get a salesman out.
Yeah.
Because there's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know you had a patio. I didn't know you had this. I'm not just, and not to minimize.
Yeah.
I'm not just spraying, applying.
Yeah.
Like I'm digging it. Well, I didn't know you had a electric pole here. And we've gotten so many jobs because some of the other companies They're like, I just wanted to talk to a human.
What's your turnaround time on an estimate? Like what do you guys strive for?
Brian right now, and that's on Brian's end. That goes to Brian's side of things, where he actually puts it into, it's called aynax.com, and then you'll get it right to your email about 24 hours. You'll have it the next day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
But if I come away and you want wood, vinyl, chain link, aluminum,
how long does it take you for you to get to the? I'm Chris. I call. Hey Brian, whoever I talk to.
I'm putting my boots on. I'll be right there. I got a headlamp.
As fast as you can get there.
For you, yeah.
Yeah.
But right now we're about 2 weeks out on estimates.
Wow.
We will be 3 to 4 weeks out on estimates. And I say, what are my biggest loss and what are my biggest regrets? But I don't know if I regret that and you can't warn people to plan ahead.
Mm-mm.
People are going to call you the first time they see the dandelion and say,
Absolutely.
well, I have 750 clients already. No offense, but like, I don't really need you to sign on. And you can't say that. And I'm not saying that.
No.
But
You want to sign them on.
they're like, well, 3 weeks for an estimate. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I'm getting a pool and I need this now. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really work like that.
What the scalability of it? Another crew, another guy is it
Another guy to do what?
estimates?
No.
Another crew to
Nope.
do more work?
No.
Because
No.
you're in a happy place right now. You're in not a happy place, but you're in a
A good spot?
yeah. You don't want to.
We'll use a weak word like good.
Yeah. You don't want to put too much pressure, I guess. Is that your drawback? I don't want to hurt the business.
I don't know. Even Brandy doing estimates, like physically going out there to measure. And she knows what she's talking about. She knows how to measure. She knows what she's doing. She knows material. It's just that release of responsibility, where this is what it was built off of. Brian does not want to go meet with clients. He wants to figure everything out on that end. How many ends, lines, corners, rails. And I go and speak with people. And I'd hope to believe that a lot of people are, and I've talked about this with so many other people that like talk about like Gazos and railroad.
Yeah.
Like, could you find a pizza place, whoever you like whoever you spend money on, Girl Scouts, for instance, like you're not buying the cookie.
No.
You're buying Girl Scout cookies.
Frankie.
I'm buying Stout Lawn Care because if I just needed my weeds killed, I'd call whoever Green. And
Green,
if I wanted a pizza, I'd just go to Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that, not like it's you're convincing people to do anything, but a lot of people say my first call to Brandy was awesome. She was genuine. I wasn't talking to 30 people in the office. Oh, she's your wife. Yeah. And then I show up at the estimate. Your wife is lovely. Tell her she's doing a great job. She was so patient with me. And then I show up and hey, I'm on your time. I know you got other places to go. I'd like to think that people are buying us.
Oh, 100%.
Not really just the company. And then, from start to finish, we got Brandy, Joe. And then when I talked to Christina and Brian via email, or she called me on the phone with a question about a permit, she was lovely. She answered all my questions. Like, then it becomes about, I want what I want from a customer standpoint. And I'm not looking for the cheapest thing. I want this to be done right. And I think that process is right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny you say that because I think that, we always say in our industry, it's easy to fire Stout Lawn Care. It's hard to fire Silver Fox, right? So from the time people call us, day one, they get Steve Pileggi, an owner of the company, on the phone.
Yeah.
If they have any scheduling questions or wondering what's going to happen or have any agronomic questions, they can call me, Chris, and I can answer any questions they have. And then when the Silver Fox gets on the lawn, because of social media, because of the relationship that we have with all the businesses in the area, it's very cohesive. It's very easy to make these people happy when you do all the other stuff first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always say, and hopefully I can find this podcast. I'm just getting into them. and just listening to some things.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for the Kelsey stuff yet, but
Yeah,
I do love Taylor Swift. But
I'm infatuated with the whole situation. But that's
it's awesome. I mean, this is like finally we don't have to watch the Duchess of whoever, like King Harry. We finally have two beautiful, successfully rich people.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like
It's fun to
just
watch.
living it.
Yeah, I love it.
Planning and preparation will cost you everything. If I got a tattoo with a saying, planning and preparation. This goes on from school to your life. We've all been unprepared. We haven't planned well. I mean, planning and preparation.
So you're saying
My kids, oh, Daddy, we know. Planning and preparation will cost you everything. It's because you know it.
yeah.
I mean, and it's just,
So you're saying, let me make this clear, that if you don't plan and
that was in
prepare-
response to whatever we were just talking about.
if you don't plan and prepare, let's clarify that.
Mhm.
This is coming from a third grade teacher that's owns his own business for 20 plus years. Your advice is just always be ready. Is that what you're saying? Plan and prepare for what's coming.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't
when
be
I first started
procrastinating.
teaching, I had a principal. Geez, back in the day, I did my principal cert with her. I have my principal license as well, and that was like the tipping point of, are you going to go into administration,
Yeah.
or you go? And this was nearly 20 years ago, or are you going to stay a teacher? And I was still new. I got back, got my teaching contract, and was going back to school, as you know, many people do. And she's like, are you going to go home? Like, you're here. It's like 2 years. And she said, always, the only thing you can control is planning, organization. Like, other things are like out of your control. I mean, look at your shop. It's organized.
Somewhat right now.
It's organized. You don't want to see our shop.
Yeah.
We got some work to do, but you know
yeah,
what I mean?
It's
If you start the day unorganized, then you're really not ready for everything that's going to happen that day. Because it's not if, it's when.
and that's I go back to the yin yang factor. Is like Steve is like, I always say, like, I talk to people about my mailbox and my my inbox. We have a contact at Stout Lawn Care. That's how people send estimates and everything. And before he took over, there's thousands of emails all in the inbox. And I'm not kidding. 2 days after he took over, that they were all labeled, had a folder, directed where they needed to be.
Yeah.
And that whole mailbox was empty.
So
And to this day,
what needed
still
to go to you went to you, and what needed to go.
Correct. And that's the best thing about me and Steve is, I think it was about midway through last year.
I don't have that.
Midway through last year, we have this email contact.
Brian's my Steve.
And I was
He's like, why is everybody looking at the same email?
yeah, stop. And that's the thing. Stop. I have the emails. That's what Steve had to say to me one time. He's like, if I have a question about an email, I will send you that email and you can answer that question or talk to the customer. But stop answering. Don't call customers back. Don't email customers back. That's my job. My job is to get that done for you.
And that's a tough conversation because
Oh,
I've been there too. And Brian's like, well, how about it's, at Chris Stout at whatever. I don't know how that works, but there should be someone in the company that you are. And right now it's just like a prevailing.
Yeah.
And I just have to kind of tab things out.
Yeah, it was really cool when that happened, and Steve's made me a lot more organized, and we really do, like you say, plan and prepare for every season. We have a good, 2 months of not really working per se, spraying lawns, but we have enough ample time to prepare.
When do you start?
So we'll start. Our goal is always March 1. We start rolling trucks out March 1 if the weather's cooperating. We'll do a training week here the last week of February.
Somebody jumps on new. When are they getting their? Can they jump on? Do you have room?
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking right now for another full-time tech.
I mean, a customer jumps on.
Oh man, we plan to grow about 25% this year. So we should be hovering around 750 now. We should be hovering around 850 to 900 customers next year. Maybe even 950 next year.
I think you'll get 1,000.
That's the goal. That's the goal, and the goal is to grow.
The market will surprise you.
I think
you're going to be blown away.
I think this year's, and like I said, we're going to put a lot of money into Facebook this year. I think we're going to grow that that organic. I like to say it's an organic side of it, but yeah, that's it. I think that's what we're gonna do. We're excited about planning, preparing for the 2024 season. You don't really have an off season, do you? I mean, when it gets real cold,
That's like, well, when everybody's, Joe has off in the summer, I'm like, oh no, I'm just not preoccupied by school for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Now they're like, oh my God, he's around.
you should
He's
run
at the
a
shop.
fence company and a daycare at the same time for the summertime.
No, I've done that. That's when we did tomatoes. Like tomatoes. You ever hear about the tomatoes?
Yeah.
I mean, my name around the railroad's Tomato Joe.
Tomato Joe.
I mean, that's how we got started. We built the fence part of it. I was waiting tables at Railroad.
I didn't know you really.
Yeah.
When?
Mike
When was
and
this
Mike's
year?
like, well, I started the fence company. I was teaching, and that's when we built the garden on Sacco Road.
Yep,
That
I
was
know
one of our first like
I re-
5 fences.
I ran out of gas on that road actually one time with that big truck right behind just out long.
Brandy, I never ran out of gas. I got it. I'm gonna make it.
Yeah.
And it's and we haven't talked about that, which is really heavy. In some other interviews I've done, but I mean, God, without the help of Mike McCluskey at Railroad, I mean, it's not even a plug because he doesn't need it.
Yeah.
It's just, damn it, get yourself around some good people who are older than you, who don't want anything from you.
Is it really
And they've
like-
already, I don't want to say made it when I met him. I don't know his financial situation, but God, he was just always so helpful and still is. I mean, we still keep his stuff behind his restaurant.
Yeah. And that's invaluable.
Like people who want you to do good that you look up to. He's 10, 12 years older than me. And it started from like serving. I remember one night he was like, so you want to grow tomatoes? I'm like, yeah, I can grow tomatoes. All right, well, let's do a garden. All of a sudden we're doing ketchup, stuff you see at the railroad. I mean,
yeah,
it's just crazy. And he's just like, I've never really seen anybody work as hard as you.
And that's,
I value what you do and hard work and getting around the right people. I mean, these are all just
your network and like,
and knowing what to do when you don't know what to do.
I think there's a million ways to make money, but like advice isn't one of them. Like I hate that people are charging for business advice. And I know there's a market out there and there's a lot of people that are a million times smarter than me that probably could help my business in a million different ways. I get it. But it's really hard for me to digest someone that wants to sell me advice. And I love free advice. That's why I started this podcast. So anyone that's out there that's listening that wants to talk to Joe about how he started his Royersford Fence Company, how I'm running Stout Lawn Care and how me and Steve are running Stout Lawn Care and how we're growing as a company, I would, all the younger guys running lawn care companies, please reach out. I think I'm a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the lawn care industry, and it's for free. I don't want $1. I don't want anything. I want to grow my network. Because if I talk to John in Nebraska that has a question about his marketing, maybe I learned something from John, and that's the ultimate goal.
What Chris means is he's skinned his knees a bunch of times.
Yeah.
He's fallen. I think I've fallen more times than I've gotten up. And the byproduct of that will just be what it is. I mean, a wealth of
knowledge.
And I've heard it, a wealth of mistakes.
Yeah. For sure.
And not bad ones. I've looked at people. I've looked at businesses. I've talked to people. Certainly I respect you. That's why I'm here. But I mean, I often look around at, who do I want to be like? Who do I want to emulate? What do you want to do? I've met more people reverse way, just said, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. And I would never do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
From every aspect of life. And then you kind of just hone in, and no one's perfect, but
being a good person, you get back what you give, without a doubt, and that's
karma's a real thing
for sure. I'm not a very religious person at all. I'm like I feel like I have my own religion. I'm like the religion of being nice.
Yeah.
and being normal.
And that's the hardest part. I mean, because you're a business owner, so sometimes there's a lot of tough decisions that you have to make. And again, going back to the awesome principal that I did my internship underneath, which everything's kind of transferable because everything comes out of the home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you come back and you can't treat your home like you do Stout Lawn Care. And I can't, well, Brandy's going to laugh because they're like, we're not your employees. You're not just here to work for you. And I'm like, that's not what I mean. There's just a way to do things. Miss Gillespie said, they're me decisions, you decisions, and our decisions.
Mm.
Just kind of put that into perspective. Like, it's really, when you ask something, it's not like I wasn't really asking you. I was telling you what to do. And,
That's a good one. I like that.
yeah.
Me decisions, you decisions, and then our
But most of
decisions.
the times it's going to be, in leadership, it's really, really difficult. And I took a lot from that principalship. School law was terrible. I did my principal work at Villanova and, awesome Lower Marion superintendents as like my professors, field guys. Like, a lot of that leadership standpoint is, it's never about telling people what to do. It's about facilitating. It's about scaffolding. Everything you do with a student. If you take your child out and you show them something, some of these kids, it's the first time they've ever seen a fence. Well, what do you mean this guy doesn't know what he's doing? I'm like, how the hell do you think this starts?
So we can we've discussed this topic multiple times on the podcast. We're probably buzzing up on some time here, but real quick is youth athletics. You can see a coach that has taught before and that will teach. My kids are 4 and 6 now, so basic mechanics, whatever sport it is.
Yeah.
They will start at day, one. They'll start real. Hey, this is how you pick up a baseball. This is how you throw a baseball. Step and throw. And then you have some other coaches that just don't really understand that. They think that they could do a drill and these kids should get it. And it's really about building that little bit of building blocks for them to learn on.
And that's that scaffolding. Because if you're reading up here or you're reading down here, every employee, everybody in your life, and you as a child and a person needs some type of scaffolding.
And they're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about, the Silver Fox. He calls me a lot. He has a lot of questions. He's very, he doesn't want to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And since day one, even not at Stout Lawn Care, my old company, I encourage my guys to make mistakes. I said, I want you to make a decision. You make a decision that you think is the correct decision.
It's a riddle. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it if it happens, right? If it's
Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. You need more fertilizer. Come back to the shop.
There's, you go back to this. You go back to Joe's house, and there's crabgrass all up and down the right side of his driveway.
You guys don't pick up dog poop, do you?
No, that's it's a very lucrative.
My son doesn't do it either.
Yeah,
it's like the bomb squad.
But you go to Joe's house, and there's crabgrass down the right side of your driveway, and you can say to Eric, "Hey, I told you to make sure you spray the driveway really well."
Right.
Or you could say to him, "Hey, you see that crabgrass over there? Let's take care of it. Let's get it fixed for this customer.
Yeah.
But just next time, you might have missed that section. So let's just hit it. Let's just hit it a little extra hard." And there's just two ways to approach things, and I hope that that's the ultimate goal, is just to be normal, be friendly.
Hey, and this goes back to your son, because I like I said, I have 4 girls from 16 down to Charlotte's 8, second grade, and then Joseph's right in the middle, not the youngest, but the second from the youngest. And you're like, oh man, it probably like crushed you when you walked in. You're like, I was just messing with you, or
exactly
when they get aroused at you. Well,
Yeah,
number one, kids aren't ready for that these days, especially these kids out in the suburbs. They're not ready for that.
Yeah.
TikTok and everything else tells them exactly what they want to hear.
Yeah.
But just having that consistency, and you hope no matter what mistake or how you handled that employee or person, or even the owners, who you split this company with, you're going to step on some toes. You're going to forget because you wanted this job, or you wanted to make this person, that you can rely on your record. It's like, hey, and just acknowledgement of, and I'm the perfect. Oh my goodness. I get in everybody's way. I'll be up at 4:30. Brandy's like, you're checking your email at 3:00. I'm like, forget about the 5 a.m. club. I'm like, I do not want to wake up. If I have to go to the bathroom, I'm checking my email. Might as well do 2 stops here.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to wake up and be like, I know there's something on that phone.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen this thing just
buzzing.
Yeah.
But you thrive on it, and it doesn't bother you too much then. It can't. And your wife must love to deal with it then.
Well, I'm never home, so I think that's the point that she really likes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Joe, we got to wrap this up.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story about, how this is a side gig turned into a full-time gig that's still a full-time gig, and you still haven't figured it out yet. I think that's great for everybody to realize.
Yeah.
And not having a reoccurring business is you're in a tough market. You got to find those jobs every day. And like I said, I admire you from afar, just seeing you on
Thank
social
you.
media.
Thank you.
And the connections you've made and the
Yep.
connections that we have together now. Like I said, Mayor Jenna, I miss her every single day. I'm not in Royersford anymore, but the spark and light she brought to that community was something special. And then,
Yeah.
Chris Lurch and all the great things he's done for the local community. It's just, it's really nice having someone else like-minded that's not, all about the almighty dollar and grinding and selling your Royersford Fence Company in 10 years, just to go
You couldn't
to the
pay me
Bahamas. Yeah.
You couldn't pay me enough. I don't want to go to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I want to get cold and light my fireplace.
I do want to.
I love the seasons.
I do want a house in the Poconos. I'm not gonna lie. A little house, little.
Brandy
cabin.
wants a house in the. Well, she's Poconos too. I guess I'm beach.
Yeah,
I'd go beach.
I'm Pocono
Go
guy
beach.
all day. Beach sand gets everywhere. But anyway, Joe, listen. If anyone has it, I don't know who this is going to reach, but if anyone has any questions about fencing and Royersford Fence, how can they find you?
Yeah, and that's a great point. Our business phone is my cell phone. I mean, he was pretty upset that I still write on paper, but 610-564-1142. I tell my clients, my friends, anybody who's hiring us, it's on my trucks. It's tough because nobody's calling me to go golfing.
No.
And even if I had a different number, I think I've lost all the friends who are having fun. Because we're still banging it out.
Yeah.
And Royersford Fence at gmail.com is our email. We don't have a @Joe at
Yeah. I was wondering.
Joe Moskal at Royersford. Brian has suggested it, and maybe that's good, but because I just see everything and I'm like, okay, where's this? And I put labels on everything.
Yes. Yeah.
And I have Joe, Brian, Christina. I think it's the same.
I think you can do it.
Who'd you say, Steve?
Yeah.
Steve is your partner?
Yeah.
He's like, well, why do we all get the same email? So a lot of parallels, man. I can't believe how many you've thrown out there.
Yeah,
St. Al's.
St. Al's. Yeah. Get different emails. Get them all figured out.
But how am I going to see everything?
You don't need to see everything.
I do
Joe.
need to
no,
see
you
everything.
don't. See, that's
I'm a teacher. I'm a control
you don't
freak.
need to see everything.
Yeah, I know. And we've had this conversation, and Brian's like, if you just let us do our job,
Exactly.
and it's like,
stay out the effing
and
way.
he hasn't said like, I'm not your employee
Stay out.
or I'm your partner, but he's like, because I'm just sitting here, I'm like, okay, this has been 3 minutes since this person responded.
See.
And I'm like, they're just, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like some advice on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our cell phone, our business phone. Instagram at Royersford Fence, I think. Hashtag at Royersford Fence.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Google it. You'll
Yeah.
find us.
Yeah, that's awesome. If anybody has any questions for me, you guys know where to reach me, stoutlawncare.com, stout_lawn_care on Instagram, Stout Lawn Care PA on Facebook. We are everywhere. We are reachable. Please like, subscribe, follow to the Root Zone podcast. Like I said, we're excited. You probably heard the commercial a couple minutes ago somewhere along here for Tick and Skeeter the Leader. We are excited to have them as a partner, as a sponsor, as a friend of the Root Zone podcast. Brian and Steph do an amazing job with their company and providing a safe, natural resource for us to control ticks and mosquitoes and all the other bullshit you get through the summer. Brian and Steph are awesome people, and we're excited to shoot these next 10 episodes. And like I said, Joe, I really appreciate you coming on. I think you're a wealth of good knowledge, and I hope you had some fun.
I hope so. Believe it or not, I hate hearing myself talk.
Wait till it airs. All right. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Thank you, sir.
See ya.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.